Hi, everybody. I'm going to take a quick opportunity to just recap Chapter 9. So this chapter is on production and operations management. There's a lot of good information on this. It's a short chapter. Basically, what I think that are important, and read the whole chapter, but there's a section that describes various things from production to operations management. I would read that and just know some of the terminology that goes along with that, including production processes. That's on page 247. So it has some inputs and then processes and controls and outputs. So that's the definition of a system, in case anybody who or a process has any questions about what that you'll see that if you stay in the business space, inputs, and then some kind of magic occurs in the middle, and then there's outputs. A very common construct, the production process. One of the things that the chapter talks about is lean manufacturing. So lean manufacturing basically consists of the philosophy of being able to produce either the same amount or more by using less resources. So fewer people, fewer resources, less time to market, less engineering, less controls, everything along the way. It's considered lean. It's a science in and of itself. It's very popular in terms of process improvement mechanics. The premise being behind that is that, if you have fewer steps, you probably make fewer mistakes, and you probably do the processes quicker. Very interesting to read about. You'll see lean, Six Sigma, all of those types of things. So there's various disciplines out there to speak about that. Robotics are huge and getting more popular. Many manufacturing components use robotics to either make parts or assemble parts or test parts. So robotics engineers are highly sought after in terms of skill sets. Facilities location. So what's a big part of operations management planning? Basically, what are you close to? Are your resources nearby? If you have an end product that is expensive to ship, are you near waterways or airlines or whatever the case may be that would help expedite your ability to ship? Sometimes your location is based upon the need for a various skill set. A long time ago, I interviewed at a place that I said, why did you put this particular group of development, this was for IT, in this town? And they said, okay, we're based in New York, but for some reason or other, every time we post an ad for this particular skill set, we get hundreds of resumes from this geographic location. So knowing full well that we didn't expect everybody to relocate, we said, why don't we set up a small shop that's close to this core competency, that it's all located in this region. So they wound up setting up an office that was outside of New York in the Philadelphia suburbs, because there was such a high concentration of a specific immigrant population that happened to know various programming languages. And it was very successful until they changed their technology, once again being adaptable and having to change. But it was very successful for them to use this model where they went to the resource rather than bringing the resource to them. So all different ways to look at location and facilities. Sometimes you're close to your raw materials because they're either hard to get or hard to transport, and sometimes you put your plants and your production near where it's easier to transport them. So there's various different mindsets for location. One of the things that has to be also brought up in this particular production and operations management is the work towards virtual and remote. Many companies are allowing their knowledge workers, their customer service workers, to work from home because the actual physical plant to house hundreds and hundreds of people is very expensive. Commercial real estate is very expensive in certain areas. So what they'll do is they will allow workers to work from home. What this does is it opens up the world to and to all the people who have various skills, instead of that being regionally determined, or having to worry about is housing expensive or whatever the case may be, because you have some skill sets that still, even though they're very well paid in the technology sector, in the medical sector, and that type of thing, are extremely expensive to live in those areas where the companies are located. So if people who are on the higher end of the economic scale in terms of earning potential can't afford to live in a place, then it's going to be very difficult for other folks to do that. So they've a lot of companies are starting outsourcing and telecommuting. Facilities layouts, oh boy, that goes all over the place. So, cube farms to open spaces to hoteling, all of these are variations on what an office space might look like. So depending upon the type of work that people do, the volume that people might have to deal with, if you have 100 people all talking at the same time, it can be an issue for some folks. And then you also have the same issue with facilities layout in terms of operations. So, like I said, the physical space, the guidelines for OSHA, cleanliness, all of that plays into how you can lay out your operations. MRP and ERP, materials requirements planning and enterprise resource planning, are good things to know about if you're going to be in any kind of manufacturing. Couple of other things. This is not a long chapter. Just-in-time inventory. So rather than keep thousands of pieces of raw materials in a plant, and then wait for the orders to come in that will consume those parts, just-in-time kind of flips that model, and it says I'll get the orders in anticipation of those orders. I will order like the next 2 or 3 days worth of inventory, and I won't keep more than that. You'll see this very much present in major retailers. Walmart, I think, is a big user of just-in-time inventory. They have such a refined inventory process that they can tell you if 1 or 2 of an item are in-house. And if they know that they only sell 1 of those a week, they will wait till they have just 1 and then order more. And they will only keep that inventory in the store for the need span of I made that word up that just then, of a specific product. So if somebody comes in and buys 30 of them the next day, they're going to be caught short. But then their inventory control system, because it's finely tuned, will say, okay, I need to replenish this sooner rather than later. So what this does is this eliminates stockpiles and all that money basically that's sitting in somebody's warehouse or factory or wherever the case may be, and having unused components or raw product, and having the inventory be controlled so that when it's needed, it is used. Basically, it allows for the right things to be in the right place at the right time. Quality control. Quality is huge. Quality control and quality assurance are 2 different things. So I won't ask you that question on anything, but just be knowledgeable about the fact that there are various standards. There's your ISO standards. There's awards given out for companies that maintain specific levels of quality. It's really important. You want to make sure that there's consistency and in your output, in your processes. Imagine if we didn't have standards for simple things like, how a light bulb is threaded or whatever the case may be. Really important stuff to maintain in terms of quality. and controls. And then a couple of different things that are there for tools. So like myself, project managers and those types of things. Your various control charts, your PERT and your Gantt. So your PERT chart is your performance evaluation review technique. Basically what that does is allows you to sequence activities or processes throughout your organization and then put either amount of time or resources or whatever the case may be, and be able to plan out how a process will flow through and the amount of time that is necessary to conduct a specific activity. And your Gantt chart is commonly, it's a type of a bar chart, basically, and it's set on the horizontal, and it shows the passage of time for various types of activities or actions operationally. So a couple of different things. You'll see those a lot. They're used everywhere. Probably bar more than Gantt. Specific people will use Gantt. You will use PERT. Okay, so that was a quick chapter, but I just wanted to go over that. So that I'm sure that in our business plan, there's not too much to say about operations planning, except maybe with regards to facilities location. That might be something that you would want to put into a business plan, whether or not you're going to be located in your home, in a small business park. If you're going to be cooking something, you might have to consider the fact that you'll have some kind of food certification and those types of things. So that's probably the most important part of that chapter that relates to what you're producing in your business plan. Okay, thanks everybody.